Also YouTube, NCG here, bringing you a Magical Musketeer deck profile. So obviously we got all of these supports in Spirit Warriors, and now I'm bringing you a build together. There's quite a few variants that you can play with this deck. It's all about testing out at this moment in time. Nothing is set in stone, but this is kind of a different version to kind of give you another outlook on the deck. So without further ado, I'm going to crack straight into it on the very nice DC Dark Knight Metal. If you haven't started reading that, or if you're not into comics, this is definitely one to pick up. It's basically Batman. Anyway, so we play triple Magical Musketeer Starfire. This is a short print, unfortunately, but you must play this at free. She special summons a Magical Musket monster from the deck in defense position, so she's very, very important when obviously, the way Magical Musketeers work is when a spell or trap is activated in the same column as them, either your side or your opponent's side, once per turn, hard once per turn, they activate effects. On a separate chain as well, so it means these can go off on top of stuff like Solemn Warning, Solemn Strike, and Counter Spell Speed Freeze, because it doesn't chain directly to the card, it happens on a separate chain. So you play 3 of this girl, no questions asked. Triple Magical Musketeer Caspar as well. This is a short print which is really, really annoying. Funnily enough, someone opened up a box and pulled 2 in one box, and I went through 4 boxes and pulled 1. So it was very, very disappointing, but that's just the way the decks go. Regardless, the reason Caspar is so hard to get hold of, and the reason why he's so good, is he is your searcher. He will search you out any Magical Musket card. So he'll search out your monsters, or your spells, or traps, from your deck to your hand, and you kind of extend your plays through there. Next up, we play triple Magical Musketeer Kid Brave. This one is a lot easier to get. It would have been nice as a secret because you do play it free, but it's still very, very good. When you activate a spell or trap in the same column as it, you discard 1 Magical Musket card from your hand and then draw 2. Now, the best kind of combo, because he is a level 3, he goes off and works well with Caspar, Ties of the Brethren, and of course, this next one that we play only at 1, which is Magical Musketeer Doc. So, the way the combo kind of works is you have Caspar out, you activate Ties of the Brethren, Caspar then brings you out Kid Brave and Doc, Caspar then searches you a Magical Musket spell or trap, you activate that spell or trap in Kid Brave's column, Kid Brave then discards 1 Magical Musket card to the graveyard and draws 2, you then activate a spell or trap in Magical Musket's Doc's zone, then Magical Musketeer Doc's effect will go off to revive the spell and trap you used on Kid Brave. Now, Magical Musketeer Doc cannot revive the same spell or trap that is activated in its column, and obviously it only adds a Magical Musket card from your deck to your from your graveyard to your hand. So that must be remembered. Next up, we play the 1 Magical Musketeer Wild. He is basically your Digustal Emerald of the deck. The reason we play Doc, Wild, and of course the last one, Calamity, at 1 is the pure fact is their effects are quite more for later game. So Calamity revives from the graveyard in defense position, Magical Musketeer Wild shuffles 3 back and lets you draw 1, again more for the later game. And then obviously Doc lets you add 1 back from the graveyard. So if you're not pulling off the combo, you don't really want to see him in your opening hand, unless you open up him and Ties of the Brethren, because he is another alternative to use that. Other alternatives to Ties of the Brethren is Wild, Calamity, and Starfire. Not the best kind of way of using Ties of the Brethren. You want that with Caspar or one of your other level 3s, but it's still very, very good and very, very powerful. And then we finish it off with the 1 beta, which is Magical Musket Mastermind Zakil. He doesn't really have an effect when a spell or trap is activated in the same column as him. Basically, during your opponent's turn, in the end phase, you get to draw the same amount of cards as Magical Musket spells and trap cards activated during your opponent's turn. So if you activate like 4 Magical Musket cards during your opponent's turn, you then get to draw 4, but it all happens in the end phase. So as a 2500 beta, he's the strongest monster there, and he only requires 1 tribute of a Magical Musket monster, which is really, really cool. But you don't want to brick with him, because at 1 is more than enough, because they rely on their spells and traps a lot more. It's basically a whole deck of hand traps. So, next up for the spells, we play triple Magical Musket Cross Domination. So this one is a quick play spell. You target a face-up monster on your on the field until the end of the turn, changes attack and defense to 0, and it has its effects negated until the end of the turn. So ideally you want to be dropping this on your opponent during the damage step. Next up, we play triple Magical Musket Steady Hand. Again, another damage step card. You target a Magical Musket monster you control. Its attack and defense become double its original attack and defense until the end turn, but it cannot attack directly your turn you activate it. So, you know, it's just a bit of a boost to get through your opponent during that turn. Like let's say they make a lightning and they want to try and beat over Zakil. You drop this before Utopia declares its attack, and then they can't get over Zakil. Triple Ties of the Brethren, obviously straightforward. I've already explained the combos and plays with this card. Triple Toon Table of Contents and the one Toon World, still waiting for it to arrive. So with the reason you play these is because number one, they're not once per turn, and number two, they replace themselves. So you activate this in the same column as one of your magical Musketeer monsters, set their effect off, search out another one, and then you can keep using it that turn and kind of circle around the plays. And then Toon World is so you could basically have 4 options to do this and kind of play it that way. Now, you can play a Magic Planter in this deck, but because we only play 3 continuous spells or traps, it's not really as consistent as I would like it to be. If you up those continuous spells and trap cards, then yeah, you would up your Magical Musket, your Magic Planter in the deck. But for now, it's not really worth running, which is why we play double MST to deal with back row. You can set it or you can activate it during your turn, so it can trigger off your Magical Musket monsters effects. These can be taken out for hand traps, solemn warnings, or solemn strikes. The one Dark Hole, now this easily a Regeki. I just haven't got my Regeki on me at the moment. I am stuck at work, which is where you can see obviously a different playmat as well. But Dark Hole, obviously straightforward on that one. Now, the reason we play Dark Hole is because if you play a Magical Musket Fiendish Deal, your Magical Musket monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. So your Dark Hole turns into a Regeki, which is why we play Torrential Tribute towards the end as well, because I think Torrential Tribute still has that surprise factor on your opponent, and then the fact you're going to add it with your Magical Musket Fiendish Deal, it kind of catches your opponent even more off by surprise. But Dark Hole can definitely be the Regeki. The one Upstart, because it can turn into a +2, especially if you activate it under Caspar, and then kind of extend your plays that way. Trap cards, triple Magical Musket The Last Stand. So when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, while you control a Magical Musket monster, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. These are all hard ones per turn, the exact same for the monsters and the spells, but because it's a chain spell speed 3 as a counter trap, it can go towards Solemn Warnings and Solemn Strikes, which is awesome. So it's very, very helpful. Triple Desperado, again, another one that probably could have been secret if you want the rarity bump, but very, very nice. It's in super because it's easy to get. You basically get to pop one face-up card on the field, so this can help disrupt your opponent massively. Next up, we play double Fiendish Deal, so basically your Magical Musket monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is very, very nice when coming into Solemn Strikes, Ghost Ogres, and stuff like that. Then finally, Magical Musket Dancing Needle. This is basically lower in the counts for the pure fact that you target up to 3 in either graveyard and banish them. It's good to activate, but ideally you want it against a deck that likes to put their stuff in the graveyard. So Spirals with their when they put their quick fixes and their drones in graveyard, you can banish them so that they're kind of stuck there for the rest of the duel. And then finally, the one Torrential Tribute, purely because it has that surprise factor and it's not continuous. You could put Solemn Warning, Solemn Strikes in with this as well. That's entirely up to you. The reason I haven't put them in there, just because of the life points, like I said, there's different opportunities to rate, but when you're playing Ties of the Brethren and taking 2k there, then setting a Solemn Warning and taking another 2k there, if you go into another Ties of the Brethren, before you know it, you're lower on life points than your opponent, and you're the one that's supposed to be in control. Now on to the extra deck. The extra deck is just a rank 4, rank 3 toolbox. To be totally honest with you, if in an ideal kind of situation, you'd probably play 3 Baguska, 3 Breaksword, 3 Utopia the Lightning, 3 Utopia, and just kind of flood the board that way. But we do give variety here, so we play double Baguska. Incredibly powerful card, especially if you've got a slow hand. This can really, really help you stall your opponent out. And then rank 4 toolbox, if you're Abyss Dweller, your Castel, your number 103 Ragnar Zero, your Gargoyle Samurai. This could easily be any other rank 4 you want, but Gargoyle Samurai can help push you for game. Your rank 3, finishing off the rank 4s, going into your rank 5s, you play double Utopia and double Utopia the Lightning. These can again easily be more Utopia support so that your Lightning can get the 5k attack twice. That's entirely up to you. And then our rank 3s, we go with Zen Mains, Super Quantum Mech Grand Pulse, Nightmare Shark, and then double Breaksword. Breaksword's there for those times when you want to pop your own Magical Musket Fiendish Deal, and of course if you want to pop your Toon World, because they're not really serving any more purpose and they might actually clog up your back row in the senses of activating your Magical Musket monster's effects. Anyway, that is it for the deck profile. It just gives you a kind of alternative way of playing it. There is hand trap versions where you take out stuff like MSTs torrential tributes, and you can change it up. You can personalize the deck quite a bit, but what you do want to keep in mind, and you do want to keep consistently, is the level of magical musket monsters and spells and traps. What you've also got to keep in mind as well is you don't want to brick with the wrong magical musket monsters, but you do want to see at least a magical musket monster in your opening hand if you're going first or second. Otherwise, it can be one of those old school kind of stars of duels where you go, yeah, pass, and then before you know it, you've been OTK'd. Anyway, that is the downside of Magical Musketeers. However, there is a whole deck of hand traps, which is the plus side of Magical Musketeers. Thanks for watching. I hope this gives you a couple of ideas. I will be trying to do a Weatheries and a 6 Samurai profile for you guys as well, so I'll try to get them up next week. Give a big thumbs up to the video if you enjoyed it, or leave the comments below if you have any suggestions. This is still in testing state, and we are trying to work towards it. It's just a fun deck. It's a shame, like I said, that it's harder to get, and they're all short print, or the majority of the good cards you need are short prints, but hopefully they'll become cheaper over time and easier to get. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, guys, see ya.